Okay. Good morning, everybody. Glad to see you. We're going to get started. We got lots of stuff to talk about. And Manny and I were just talking before the meeting started and talking about that it's with all of the bad stuff that's happening, that there's lots of good stuff to report. And so this morning, a lot of what we're going to talk about this morning is going to be good stuff, what people here in Arizona are doing. So it's going to be very exciting to hear what people have to say this morning. So with that, I'm going to just jump into the agenda. Okay. So first of all, it looks like we have a number of new people on the meeting on the call this morning. Let me see who we got here. Deanna Conrad,
Good morning.
you want to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name's Deanna Conrad. I work with Fortinet. We are a cybersecurity firm, and I cover all of the state agencies for Arizona.
Great, glad to have you.
Thanks.
We've, we've had folks from Fortinet previously, so it's great to have you guys back.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Alexis is our consultant. We work closely with her.
Okay, great. And let's see, who else do we have that's new this morning? Donna, do you want to introduce yourself? I know you've been here before, but we haven't seen you for a while.
Sure.
Donna, yeah,
Good
go ahead.
morning, everybody. My name is Donna Beadle. I'm with CompuTopt. I'm the Senior Director of Community Impact, and I have been here before, but until now, always had conflicts with this meeting. So I'm so happy to be able to finally, tune in and contribute and talk with everyone. Thank you so much, Steve.
You bet. Thank you. Let's see, who else do we have? It looks like there was a couple of other people. John Ryan.
Hi, good morning. I'm John Ryan. I actually work with Deanna Conrad. I'm her engineer for Fortinet as well.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, welcome.
We're your team. Thank you.
You bet. And Melissa, we haven't seen you in a while. You want to say hi?
Good morning. Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Melissa Hall, and I am a program manager at University of Arizona under Dr. Carter, working on NTIA's Connecting Minority Community Grant. So I usually also have a conflict at this time, so very happy to be able to join this morning.
Great. Is your husband still with what you call it?
Caterpillar?
Caterpillar?
He is, yes.
We have some people who I think are going to be interested in connecting with him.
Oh, great. That's
Yeah.
great.
I was actually down at down at your location down at the what do I want to call it? There was a black marketplace last night, and it was really great to. I didn't know where your facility was down there, but
Oh,
anyway,
yeah. Were you
yeah,
at the Dunbar?
I was at
Okay.
Dunbar,
Okay,
and I
yeah,
didn't
our
realize
lab
that.
is right in there.
I know, I saw it, and I said, "Oh shoot, I got to call." I need to talk to you and Brian about the people who organized that event. Are neighbors of mine,
Oh,
and
interesting.
they have a program for. Well, he works for Raytheon, but this goes everywhere, talking to students about job opportunities and stuff like that. And so I actually want to introduce him to you and Brian.
Yeah, very
I
cool.
think he
Okay,
might
yeah,
want
we
to.
can connect offline for sure.
Yeah, he'd probably like to have a good conversation with you guys about doing an event down there.
Great.
Anyway, moving on. Sharuti, I think you've been here before too, but you want to introduce yourself, please?
Sure, thank you. Just like, Donna, I've also had conflicts before. So I'm glad that I have the opportunity today. Thank you for having me. My name is Shruti Guradanti. I'm one of the co-founders of Televeda, and we offer digital literacy programs, both in-home and remote. to health plans and state departments and federal governments. So very excited to hear what we have in store today, given all of the crazy news that's coming out.
Yeah. Well, great. Thanks for being here. And Sharon Tewksbury, I think, were you here last week?
Hi, I was here a couple of weeks ago. My name is my name is Sharon, but I'm in Flagstaff, Arizona. So up here representing the North, and I'm an independent facilitator and connected with Erin about hopefully in the future being able to support some of the projects around digital inclusion, particularly in the rural areas of Arizona.
Sounds great. Is there anybody I missed who was new or hasn't been here for a while? Okay. Well, if not, let's move on. So as I was saying, we have lots of good things to talk about today, and that's mostly going to be our focus today. So here's the agenda. Here's what we're going to be talking about. First, we'll, of course, get our briefings from the broadband office, NTIA, if they're here, of course, Mao in the libraries, and then we're going to see Paul Ross's video. He did an amazing video that is great to highlight a lot of the great work that people here in Arizona are doing. So I'm going to ask Paul to share that in a minute. And then we're going to hear from Jared Bodine, who's the executive director of AZ Strut, who many of you know, and they have started a new internet lending program, just really awesome. And so we're going to hear from him today. We're going to hear from Michelle Simon, who's Pima County's Office of Digital Inclusion. Once again, they have been recognized for the work they're doing, and so we're going to hear from them. We're going to hear from Heather Floyd from Valley Telecom about the project they're working on with the town of Patagonia. And then just a reminder about the Net Inclusion Conference coming up and maybe other federal updates. So with that, I'm going to just jump into it. And Paul, you want to show your video? You want me to share it, or you want to do it, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, no, sure, no worries. I'll jump into that right now. So I'll share the
Okay.
Once I can share my screen, I will just give me the share access. And
for those who don't know Paul, he's just absolutely
Steve, you
amazing.
need to give me Steve, you need to give me share access.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay, there we go. All right, thank you. All right, let's hopefully the sound will share as well. So somebody can just give me a thumbs up when I press play. Basically, this is a video, it's a music piece, and I'll just hit play, and it just speaks to some of what we're doing in Arizona.
Hey, hey, we're building it right. Arizona
Can you hear it?
broadband is taking
Yep.
flight. In the heart of the desert where the signal grows, city streets to mountain roads, we're bringing networks far and wide, connecting dreams on every side. From Flagstaff peaks to Yukon Pete, we're bridging gaps through every beat. Every voice and every town will lift the signal up, never down. Building connections today, making high-speed highways pave the way. We've got the power to light the path. Together we'll make broadband last. Stakeholders standing strong, sharing visions, righting wrongs. From wire to wireless, we've got it planned. Arizona's broadband takes the land. We're weaving webs through desert skies, making sure no signal dies. Collaboration's what we do. With everyone here, dreams come true. Schools and homes, they'll stream with ease. Farmers tracking weather on the breeze. Business hubs and tech galore. With broadband, we'll all explore. We're teaching skills to close the gap, so every hand can hold the map. From online tools to tech-made art, digital knowledge builds the heart. Access for all, no one denied. With every click, we'll turn the tide. Empowered minds will lead the way, building brighter futures every day. Building connections today, making high-speed highways pave the way. We've got the power to light the path. Together we'll make broadband last. Stakeholders standing strong, sharing visions, righting wrongs. From wire to wireless, we've got it planned. Arizona's broadband takes the land. Stick around, you'll want to stay, to get down, to lead the way. End of meeting, kibitz time. Laughter, wisdom, all combined. They'll crack a joke, share a tale, talk about wins and how we prevail. From broadband plans to funny quips, the kibitzing's worth those extra tips. Building connections today, making high-speed highways pave the way. We've got the power to light the path. Together we'll make broadband last. Stakeholders standing strong, sharing visions, righting wrongs. From wire to wireless, we've got it planned. Arizona's broadband takes the land. Hey, hey, way we're building it bright. Arizona's broadband is taking flight.
Well, I don't know about you, how many of you were dancing around while that was playing, but that's just awesome. Paul, you just did an awesome job on that. Thank you so much.
Down into the goddamn.
No, I lifted it up. It's up here.
Okay.
Okay.
So the video aspects for you, the little video window, that was all done using Sora. I created 10-second clips in Sora and then stitched them all together. And then I use a program called Suno, but the lyrics are mine. And I put them all together, and then I use Suno to actually help produce it. And I do tweaks and edits, and then I do some post-production work on it as well. But yeah, a little fun, a little thing to share about what we're doing. So share that with all of you, and I'll drop the link in the chat. And I know Steve has also provided it to everyone in the minutes, the notes as well. So, but cheers, everyone.
That was fantastic, Paul. This is Carla with the Arizona Technology Council. I have to tell you, you took me back to like 1980s sitcoms. I felt like I was watching TV. Like, it was awesome. That was fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, that's just awesome, Paul. You always do amazing work, but that was just above and beyond the Call of Duty.
No worries. Cheers, everyone.
Okie doke. Let's get back to the agenda here. So why don't we, Aaron, do you want to give us a quick update what's happening with the ACA?
Sure thing. I would love to. Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Lorandos. I'm not sure I can follow Paul, but I'll do my best. I am the Digital Equity Program Manager here in the State Broadband Office, which sits in ACA. I don't have a ton to update. Our BEAD application window is still open. It was extended by a month, so it is now closing on the 7th of March instead of tomorrow. Let's see. Because of that, the office is a little quieter because, it's an open procurement. But I will drop the link to our website, which is where you can get to all of the information about BEAD and the Digital Equity Program, which if people have a keen eye, they may have noticed that our timeline has been updated on the website for the DE stuff. We will be releasing the subgrant information at the beginning of March. So you can see that we updated that. Other than that, though, I can't share anything until March now. So, so that'll be there. We will be resuming our roundtables in March and April to make sure that folks who have questions about the DE subgrants application have the opportunity to ask them. Similar to BEAD, everything that gets asked needs to be documented and shared. So I will refrain from, giving a ton of information in here, and we'll save it for our public webinars, but you'll be able to see that information on the website soon. And I think those are my major updates.
Okie doke. Got any comments about what's happening or not happening at the federal level, or do you want to plead the fifth?
I absolutely do not have any comments.
Okay.
Hey, Peter, it's Judy Soltrup, and I'm
Yeah,
here
Judy,
with
I was
Senator
just going to
Kelly.
call on you because I saw you were here this morning.
Yeah, it's.
Excuse me, Judy, can you introduce yourself real quickly?
Hi, I'm Judy Soltrup with Senator Mark Kelly's office. And so what we have, this has really been chaotic, obviously. There's a lot of confusion, and even our office is having a hard time. A lot of the communication between the federal agency has been shut down for the senators, even on our casework staff and things like that. So at why they're making all these changes. So what we do know is that the IRA money for infrastructure and all that, we do not think that the funding pause should impact BEAD funding. But we do think that there will be changes to the program. And so we will probably see a temporary pause. Trump just announced Aurelia Roth to be his nominee to lead NTIA, which she has been vocal about her problems with BEAD. So we've heard kind of anecdotally that Commerce staff is subject to the communications freeze. So we're having a lot of trouble getting information from the Commerce side, the agency. There aren't really firm updates on digital equity, but given their attack on all, the DEI programs, we are definitely concerned. Our office at this point, we are fielding, if there are funding issues that you're dealing with from funding agencies. For instance, if you have a current grant that you're trying to draw down and for some reason your portal isn't working, we're asking you to contact us because we have had that happen and then they magically work again. So because that shouldn't be happening. These are funds that have been distributed. So we do want to be aware of that, and just hang in there. We'll try to get you as much information as we have. It's super confusing, as you can probably feel from all the news. So we want to know about any challenges so that the senator can, at least we can start calling the agencies. We did have a issue with EPA and got it resolved for one of the towns immediately. So so please let us know.
Thanks,
And
Judy, and thanks for being
you
here
bet.
this morning. Any
You bet.
questions for Judy? Just FYI, just to follow up on her comments, I did include on the agenda today. Again, I don't want to get into lengthy discussion, but she did mention, is it Ariel? Is that how she pronounced her name?
I think so.
Ariel Roth. She was the telecom director for Senate Commerce Committee Chair Ted Cruz. And just some information that was shared is in June, she shared her views of the BEAD program, criticizing its emphasis on fiber deployments and what she described as a, ready for this, woke social agenda, laden with additional regulatory burdens. The MTIA has just been preoccupied with attaching all kinds of extra legal requirements on BEAD, and honest to honest, a woke social agenda loading up all kinds of burdens that deter participation in the program and drive up costs. So that just gives you a little perspective on her. I don't want to get into a lengthy discussion about that because we got more good stuff to talk about today, but I
Right
just
on.
thought you might be interested in that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you bet. Thank you, Judy. Good to see you. Okay, moving on. Nicole, I don't believe you're on. At least I didn't see you earlier. Are you here? Okay, Mala, you want to give us a quick update on what's happening with libraries and what the perspective is with the initiatives that you guys are working on?
Yes, sorry, Steve, my throat is not the best, but I'll do my best to make myself heard. I wanted to let you know, let the team know that Shelby has published its 2025 policy platform.
Excuse me,
I,
Mala.
yeah,
Mala, two things. One, introduce yourself, and secondly is to tell
sorry.
people who Shelby is.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for reminding. I'm Mala Muralidharan. I work at the State Library. I'm the State E-Rate Administrator for Public Libraries. I also work on broadband issues and telehealth projects for the state. Um, I just mentioned that Shelby has got its policy platform 2025 out. And I've put the link in the chat. So those of you who are interested, you can download, you can look at it. It outlines the priorities, and it's kind of like a guidepost to shape advocacy or policy issues that we may be dealing with um, right now or in the future. So do take a look at it. It provides a good dynamic landscape view of broadband. There's lots of things happening at the federal level, and uh, what I want to do is just give you information. No opinions, no. And just as Erin said, we are not talking. uh, Shelby has a hotspot webinar that's coming up, and I'll put that link in the chat too as soon as I'm done talking. The webinar is about should Congress repeal the FCC's E-rate hotspot lending decision. As you know, um, uh, the FCC and previous FCC chair Jessica Rosenworcel had a program, FCC's Learn Without Limits, and the three programs that were introduced were the school bus Wi-Fi, the hotspot lending, and security pilot program. The cyber security pilot program was not funded through E-rate, although it ran on a similar platform and on with similar rules and guidelines, and that has a budget of 200 million, but the number of applications that they received was over 3.7 billion. Um, Needless to say that Commissioner Carr opposed it. Now Chairman Carr opposed it, and there were the two other programs, School Bus Wi-Fi, which is kind of analogous to the Bookmobile, which has always been funded through the E-rate program, um, has also been opposed by Chairman Carr, and the hotspot lending program is now in the highlight for almost being eliminated. Um, it's in CRA. It's a Congressional Review Act that's going on, that's been proposed by Senator Cruz. And this would nullify the rule that has been issued by FCC if adopted. CRA is a quick way of getting it through if it gets a hearing time on the floor. That's the only thing that's holding it back because 17 Republican senators are in agreement with Senator Cruz about not allowing E-rate to fund hotspots. The argument is that E-rate was always meant for in classroom and in library use, and was and this is extending it beyond the library walls. And they not only do not want that to happen, but they think that this will be unsupervised use of the internet, and they oppose that. The that's about well, the hotspots uh, applications are already being processed. They're being applied for. March 26th is the deadline. So unless some quick decisions are made, this is going to go through for this time. It may be rescinded after the application deadline as well. There's no saying what's going to happen with this Congress. Already, there are about 719 hotspot applications that have happened. Um, More than 5 million students are involved. I mean, will benefit from this. More than 12,000 sites will benefit from this, but we have to wait and see what happens when the CRA goes through. Other than that, the USF, I think I mentioned this before. The USF is also the Fifth Circuit. Just to give you a very brief background, the Fifth Circuit found that USF contribution mechanism is unsustainable. We agree with that, but it's not unconstitutional. According to them, it is unconstitutional because the Congress had delegated its powers to FCC, and FCC redelegated it, what they call double delegation, to USAC. There are ways to work around it, but right now, the Sixth and 11th Circuit Courts did not find it unconstitutional. But the Supreme Court has been approached by several organizations, including Shelby, and they have been granted the cert petition, which means that they will listen to oral arguments. Um, for this, an amicus brief has to be filed. There were 20 supportive amicus briefs that have been filed, and the oral arguments will be in the last week of March, decision by June. So this would help decide whether USF is constitutional. And after that, we have to talk about how the USF funding can be um, modified so the burden is not just on the landline service providers. I don't want to talk too much about this. We've already talked about it earlier, but if anyone wants to know more details, please feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to take it offline. Back to you, Steve.
Thank you. So just a reminder that the USF is really important. That's the primary funder for E-rate, along with a number of other initiatives that Mala just talked about. So we're still waiting to see what's going to happen with the USF. Okay, any questions for Mala? Okay, Michael Kendall, I believe you're on. Do you want to just give us any quick updates with the Department of Education?
Sure, Steve. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Oh, good. I'm just, and that's why I'm not on camera this morning. I'm setting up a new workstation. So things are a bit of a disarray right now. But so just a couple of quick updates. One, we do have one additional school that we are going through the process of approving funding for, and that's a Mammoth Elementary. We've already given pre-approval, but we're just pulling down their docs from USAC now. But it looks like we'll approve the funding for that. And the other thing, kind of an administrative thing, just keeping our information updated on USAC, is with procurement. Just updated the broadband master contracts, and so that way folks who are applying can go to USAC and get the list of the most current new carriers and other providers who we have who we have master contracts with. So kind of an administrative update there. But otherwise, the things that Mala talked about. In fact, we've got a meeting scheduled with her soon to do some updates. And but otherwise, that's about it for updates. Oh, I didn't introduce myself in the beginning. I am the broadband coordinator for the Arizona Department of Education. So sorry, didn't leave it that.
And E-rate is one of those things that falls under your bailiwick, if I'm not mistaken.
It does. It does.
Thank you, Michael. Great to have you here. And so moving on, getting back to talking about some positive kinds of things. He's been here before, but we're pleased to welcome Jared Bodine, who's the executive director of AZ Strut, to talk about the awesome, I want to say that, awesome internet lending program that they have initiated and is really, really cool. So Jared, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you give us an update on what's happening with that program.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it. So I just put in the chat a link and a little like picture flyer. I have actual physical paper flyers that are two-sided, but this one's better for posting on a chat. But our new program, the Internet Lending Program, I'm really excited about. Unlike ACP that was funded and disappeared, and I know that Mala was talking about some of these hotspot programs that funding is tenuous. Our program is not government funded. It's our program. And we're lending out internet, so there's not as much danger in going with it. What we do is we have gotten a number of devices, and we don't really have a cap right now, so the sky's the limit, hopefully. And we are lending out devices to get whole homes on the internet. And I have an example of one of the devices with me here. It is not a battery-operated hotspot like you might have heard of with some of these other lending programs. Those devices can't really power a whole house very well. They're small. They work well in certain situations, and there's nothing wrong with them. But what makes our program unique is it's designed to help entire households get online. It uses the T-Mobile network to get online. So the caveat is you do have to have a decent enough T-Mobile signal. But this one device that we own and we lend out is powerful enough for an entire home, even with gamers in the house, and they can power or connect up to 64 devices simultaneously in your house. So I've even done this with my house, and I have a smart home with all the other, connected stuff. All works fine. It's fantastic. Because this does not require being plugged into a connection like cable or DSL connections. This is relatively mobile. Again, it's not battery operated, but if you're in a somewhat transient situation and you need to relocate, you could just unplug this and take it with you. In fact, my demo unit that I take around, I literally take it around with me. I could take it to someone's home and try it out there. When I go on business trips, I had to go to Austin a few weeks ago. I took this with me, plugged it into my hotel room, and I had perfect internet for myself. It was really amazing. So these devices in our program are available to anybody. And another thing that makes our program unique, it does not have eligibility requirements. So if someone is in need of home internet and they might not be eligible for some of these other programs that have very strict requirements, we don't have those requirements. It's our internet and we're lending it out to people. So we have a very simple form to fill out, azstrut.org/internet. Fill it out, we'll contact the individual and see how we can help them out. We do have a rate, obviously, because we have a lot of expense into getting this program going. We have subsidized a lot of the cost. So it's $35 a month is what we're asking. I know it's not free, but it's certainly reasonable. People have said, well, there are plans out there where anybody can get $35 a month rates. And then you see those rates advertised with a lot of other service providers. The catch is those rates are usually attached with if you have a cell phone plan or if you also have cable TV with us or something like that. Ours doesn't have any other conditions, no requirements. There's no overages. There's no data caps. You don't have to have another service. You're not signing a 2-year contract or a 1-year contract. There's actually no preset term. So if you just need something for 3 months or if you want something indefinitely, our program could work either way. So I think it's dynamic, it's flexible, and I really feel like this could benefit anybody. You don't have to be in any economic condition to apply. I have an aunt that's on it. I have employees and coworkers on it. Anyone is welcome to apply. I hope I answered all the questions. Does it work in rural areas? Again, it'll work anywhere that you have a good T-Mobile signal. So if you sign up, we do a consultation and we try and see how good the T-Mobile signal is in your area. And if we feel like it's reasonably good, we'll ship the device to you, get you rolling. And after a couple weeks, if you say, you know what, I'm just not getting a signal that's good enough, send it back, no harm, no foul. We won't charge you for that. There is a deposit. Oh, thank you for asking that, Mala. There is, because these devices are not cheap. These are not, really small Wi-Fi hotspots. These are full internet gateways. We purchased these using some grants and subsidies and whatnot. So we own these devices, and when someone's done, we need these devices back to get them to the home of someone else that could use it. So we do ask for a $50 one-time deposit. And I know that seems a little high, but it has to be high enough stakes that people are invested in returning the device and getting their deposit back. Other than that deposit, it is a flat $35 a month, and there's no extra taxes or surprise fees or anything else. It is flat $35, and yes, you get your full $50 back once we get the device back, whenever that time may be, because you could be on this pretty much as long as you need. Any other questions? We don't have a specific period.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a chat message that came up. The question was, do we loan for a specific period of time? Not necessarily. If you are interested in having this device for indefinitely, just sign up and we'll keep it going. But if you say, hey, I only want this for 6 months, sure, we can accommodate that. It is not only going to work in the state of Arizona. If you want to, you could bring this. Like I said, I've taken this with me to California and Texas, and I think that's the only places I've taken it so far, and it works. Anywhere you have a T-Mobile signal in North America. I wouldn't take this out of the country. It probably won't work there, but it's pretty solid anywhere in the states that you have a T-Mobile signal.
So, Jared, you mentioned that you have some grant money. Are you obviously looking for funding to help support this project?
Yeah, we've gotten a number of devices ready to go that have already gotten us started, but we definitely, if we were able to get more grant money, we could get more devices and ramp this up to more people. We can get to the point that we run out of devices to lend out, and that's the only limitation we have. For plans, we could do, our arrangement that we have with T-Mobile is pretty much indefinite. The only limitation would be the number of devices we have to lend. So yes, if we were to get more funding, more devices, more internet to the people, and once we own these, we own these. They're not leased. We own these devices. So that's great. And that's, again, why we want the devices back when someone's done using it. Some other questions, max speed. It depends on your signal. These do work on the 5G and 4G program, or 4G networks. So that means you have a lot of possible bandwidth. My aunt is getting 760 megabits down, last I checked, at her house, which is pretty fast. It's not gigabit, but it's pretty darn close, and that's well better than what you get with an average basic hotspot. So that in terms of performance, again, 64 devices in your home can be connected to this wirelessly. It also does have 2 wired connections. So if you have existing wired connections for your house, this can handle a whole wired connection. Our office is running on one of these, and we're installing operating systems and refurbishing computers all day with one of these.
Gordon Fuller in East Tucson. I'm using TCI or the T-Mobile system right now.
Okay, so you can testify that how that works. And one thing that I probably should mention too, the agreement we have with T-Mobile is not the consumer market. You cannot go to any T-Mobile kiosk or store and get the same plan we have. We are doing it through their government vertical. So if someone needs tech support, they call T-Mobile for Government. The number we put right here on the top so it's easy for someone to call. And that means you get top billing. Because if you have congestion in your neighborhood, everyone who's on the commercial plan, they get the lowest rate of service. And then you go to business, and then you go to government. So this actually puts you at the top of the pyramid for data priority and customer service, which is pretty awesome.
Great. Thanks, Jared. We need to move on. If there's other questions, either put them in the chat or whatever. While
And
I
I'll
was
put my
speaking,
email address in there as well, too, in case you want to message me directly.
yeah,
Thank you,
good. Thank
Steve.
you, Jared. That's really awesome, Jared. Congratulations. It's
Thank
really
you.
super. And while we're talking about chat, I want to remind people that if you want to, I always send out the chat after the meeting, but if you want to capture it sooner, if you go to chat at the upper right-hand corner, you will see three ellipses, three dots. Click on that and you can download the chat to your computer. And that way you'll have all the links and contacts and all that sort of stuff that's mentioned in the chat at the meeting. So I just wanted to mention that. Secondly, just quickly, because I do want to get to our discussion this morning, but Michelle Simon, another, I always call Michelle our Arizona rock star. She's the with the Pima County Office of Digital Inclusion. She's the executive director, and they have been honored by NDIA. And so, Michelle, tell us all about it.
Too funny. You always make me blush, Steve. So everybody, Michelle Simon, Director of Pima County's Office of Digital Inclusion. Many of you have heard me talk before about the efforts in Pima County. And we were recognized by NDIA as a visionary digital inclusion trailblazer, which means we have a lot of stuff going on. And we're very excited about the efforts in Pima County. Right now, we are really working hard on a digital navigator program that includes a learn to earn series of classes. So, and this is supported by Comcast. And so we basically hold a series of five classes for people who have little to no computer skills, and they take the 5 classes, including online safety and security. And when they complete all 5 of those classes, they get to keep the laptop that they've used during class. So far we have about 40 people who have completed that class. We have 2 classes going right now in the month of February, and we will have a number more before June the 30th, which is when we're done with the Comcast program. But the Pima County Public Library has also given us 100 Chromebooks so that we can keep moving forward with that effort, and we're very excited about that. Our office also is the manager of an NTIA grant for a middle mile fiber optic ring that we are building around Pima County's urban core. It's about 134 miles. We are in the throes of environmental assessment and all of the things therein. So we hope to start actual construction in the beginning of 2026. So be on the lookout for that kind of stuff. And anybody that wants to work in Pima County or understand more resources about what we have going on in Pima County, I just want to throw out a plug. We are having a community service provider forum. It is an in-person meeting on March the 4th here in Tucson at our Pima County Public Works building from 8 to 12. There's food, snacks, and lots of good conversation. So if anybody's interested, just throw it up in the chat and I'll make sure Steve has the link to everything. Okay? Thanks so much, everybody.
Already in my newsletter, but absolutely. Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it. So one other quick announcement, and then we're going to get to our discussion today. We're running out of time soon, but just a reminder that May 20 to 22, NDIA is hosting their Net Inclusion Conference here in Gila River Indian Community. And we encourage you all to plan to attend, and they are looking for sponsors. So we encourage you, if you're interested, I do have a link in the newsletter, on how you can sign up to be a sponsor. So I just encourage you, it's going to be a great conference, and it's a great privilege for us to be able to host that conference here in Arizona. And so with that, Let's move on. There are a couple of things in the chat. Let me see if there's anything anybody wants to say that added something in the chat real quick. Okay, if not, let's move on to our discussion today. And I say discussion, not presentations. But we are pleased. I had a great conversation with PJ Way, who many of you know is the broadband program manager for Yuma County, and Gordon Fuller, who Gordon and I have become, I think, good friends, if that's okay to say that, Gordon, who is a co-founder and chief visionary with Fuller Vision and the Arizona representative for Planned Systems. And so we had a really great discussion about, of course, about AI, but also AI, how it can address some of the needs of people who have special needs. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to PJ and Gordon, and you guys can take it away.
PJ. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Gordon.
Good morning. Well, I think you should roll first, PJ, because you're so inspiring with your story of what you did in October. Please share that with the group.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. Thanks, Gordon. So everybody, yeah, PJ Way here. I'm actually with Yuma County Broadband Program Manager. On the side, I do spend a lot of time researching, trying to understand AI. What are the implications? What does it mean? What kind of tools are out there? Everything from AI agents to digital twins to various other assets that might be useful inside of our agencies. But with that being said, I've also recognized that there was a need for it in how do we grow adoption. There's a lot of resistance that sometimes comes along with the two little letters of AI. People don't know what it means. They're not sure what to think of it. There's a lot of speculation and concern. So what happened was, long story short, my youngest daughter is 21 years old. At the age of 18, she's disabled. She's been disabled since she was 14 months old, received a vaccine that caused a brain hemorrhage. And since then, she's been through therapy, and she's disabled in a manner that just she can't utilize her hands. She has a movement disorder, and she can't speak. So we all do some sign language. She's very intelligent, communicates in many other ways, facial expressions, and articulates everything she needs. So she's a beautiful person. And I say that because the challenges she has are just unique, and they're unique to her, right? Everybody has a challenge. It's not that challenge doesn't have them, or they have the challenge. It's completely different. So when she aged out at 18, I was trying to figure out ways to go through her therapy because, just as it's always been, at the age of 18, people with special needs tend to lose the accessibility to certain healthcare. So they have to do certain things on their own, such as physical therapy, occupational therapy. So one of the things that I had done was I would draw every night. I would sit down and draw a handful of drawings, and then she would the next day paint them. So it was drawing and painting back and forth. So it was a good form of therapy for her. And then this tool AI came along from a visual perspective. What does that mean? And you have all these arguments with people about, oh, copyright and this and that, and these silly things that are just arbitrary in the end. Because what happened was my daughter started utilizing them, and as she created this input, she was producing these things. I would watch her the first time she did it. Because she could still type, she could use her fingers. So she was typing in her prompt after I showed her how to do that. And what came out of there, she started doing on her own. And I realized, you have these thoughts. Here you are, this young woman with all these thoughts that I've never expressed that I've never known as your father, that you had these thoughts, feelings, emotions, fears. And it was articulated in a way that was visual. It was articulated in a way that was unique and different. And there was no other tool out there that can do this for her. Otherwise, we're all interpreting for her. So the tool empowered her. And the more I dove into AI and what it does, tool is an empowering thing. It does not take away opportunity, it creates opportunity. It does not limit what we can do, and it's not taking other people's ideas. You are 100% individual. Those are your ideas, your thoughts, your expressions, and what comes out of it is yours. It's very unique to you. So it became very much a passion for me to try and develop this. And how do I grow adoption from the curiosities of what does AI mean from a business implication to our house, to our lives, to our healthcare, educational systems, And I realized that entertainment, connecting people with entertainment and art, that's low barrier. People like to look at art. If they don't like it, they tend to just walk away. If they like it, they engage with it. Um, and same with film. Creation of films is a way for people to express themselves, tell their own stories. So what I did was I created this, as Gordon pointed out. Thank you, Gordon, again. I really appreciate the chance to talk about that. Give everybody a little background. It's kind of important, though, I think, from the AI, so I didn't mean to ramble on. So I created this film festival. I leveraged AI, created an AI film and art festival here in Glendale, Arizona. It ran October 31st and November 2nd. We had over 400 people that were in attendance. We had 25 countries that were represented, people that flew from South Korea and Australia to come and see what happened with their films. We had the state ACA director for film and digital media, Mr. Matthew Earl Jones, had come out, spent 2.5 hours with the people one day during a red carpet event that we had. We had media coverage. It really gained national and international exposure. Um, and the stories that were told, the people that these stories came from, these 25 countries, all different abilities, all different backgrounds, different languages, different experiences, whether that was from Russia, Ukraine, China, Japan, London, the US, tribal nations. I had several people that submitted works from tribal nations telling their own tribal stories. And this is the type of thing that we cannot lose, right? We realize that there's different cultures that get to have expression. So I I wanted to just at least take time, and Gordon and I had this great conversation, and we expressed what we've seen, what we witnessed, and how AI can improve our lives, whether that's from a storytelling perspective or what it does for us in classrooms, what it does for us to have new job opportunities, be creative. And so, Gordon, with that, I appreciate you letting me talk. I'd like to hear your thoughts and what is your perspective?
When the president of the United States pointed out that we diverse and inclusive communities are responsible for causing planes to fall out of the sky. So it's a tough week. I'm going to be honest with you here. I don't think I've ever been so disheartened. And it really offends me in a particular way, and that is in the entrepreneurial sense. I'm from Tucson. Tucson is a world capital of astronomy and space science. And to support those instruments and explorations, we have all manner of high-end technology people here. I grew up in that milieu, and I was exposed to those technologies. Over the course of the rest of my life, as my eyesight faded, I took advantage of everything I knew about new and emerging technologies to stay in the game because I was an artist and I was going to go blind. It didn't seem fair, but I found that there were tools, there was technology, there were ideas that I could pursue that gave my life a creative and wonderful opportunity to continue in things that I could make a difference with. And that ended up with me really focusing in on community because at the end of the day, having taken a little turn at running for the House of Representatives in 1982 here in Tucson, I came to realize that you have the right to free speech, but you don't get the microphone. And when I ran in Northwest District Tucson, a rather heavily Republican district, I was outspent 10-1. And that little lesson and the people I met on the campaign trail, that is to say, the other politicians of my ilk, I realized this wasn't a job that I wanted to undertake. It wasn't going to be good for me. So I sort of dug in on a community grassroots level. And as I looked at the technology arranging for the future for people with disabilities and others in our society, the kinds of infrastructure we were building, I realized two things. One, the United States builds absolute crap infrastructure, absolute crap, charging 10 times what people in the rest of the world pay and getting about 20%, 20 times less speed or connectivity. So not impressed, not at all, and hoping that there would come a day when instead of the promise of the internet being up in the cloud in the hands of corporate tech giants, what kind of people could they be? Who knows? Well, I guess we're finding out. And here we are now at a place where our social media has become pernicious, addictive, and badly serving the human interests of our time, which often occur where we live in our communities, the place where we can do something individually, collectively about things. National politics always been a problem for us in Arizona, hey? And then the people up in Phoenix, what can I say? So with that in mind, it's a challenging time for people with disabilities. However, there's a couple things that I kind of keep in my mind that are going to be outside forces that are going to make a lot of change in our favor. One of them is in Europe, the EIA goes into effect, European Internet Accessibility Act. And what that does is it says by July 2025, all web content online transactions must be fully accessible to meet EIA standards. At present, and this day I speak to you, only 39% of US corporations have certified their web content and their online services as being fully compliant with the EIA standards. In the United States here, I can tell you 68% of all websites are not accessible according to our own standards, the WCAG, the ADA, the 504, 508, all these things, and the Telecommunications Connectivity Act. So we haven't been really good about enforcement. We refer to the ADA as the Lawyers Full Employment Act, and that's how it's always been. You have a right to something, but you got to go get it. You got to sue for it. It's not a really pleasant sort of a position to be in. There's no enforcement agency. And I just noticed that the US Access Board, which has federal oversight on all things relating to accessibility, they're kind of on hold. So I didn't get the full story on that. But this weekend, I attended a Shiva for a sister that sounds very like my friend's 21-year-old daughter. Yes, she was not able to speak, not very easily understood, to be sure. Like many people I've known with cerebral palsy, badly affected speech by the fact of the impairment. But she was a cultural anthropologist. She pioneered the field of cultural anthropology in association with disability. She was head of research for the World Institute on Disability. She was a weaver, she was a spinner, she was a dancer. She was a beloved soul. And the Shiva we had for her went 5 hours. And I can tell you, I've never been more inspired in my life than the experience I've had working with people with disabilities who are creative problem solvers. And their families often can be absolutely dedicated and brilliant and completely on our side of the desk. I know of this crowd I'm speaking to today, many of you have disabled family members or are yourselves having a disability. You understand there's no need to preach to the choir there. We are the most disadvantaged of any community in the United States. 19% employment, whereas the general public has 66%. We are so marginalized by every institution, and at the same time, the cultural bias, which in my own family life, my brother who had the same eye disease as I did he was an astrophysicist. He invented video streaming. He preferred to die than to be a person with a disability, saying that the social stigma was too much for him. Bit shy and autistic, my brother, very brilliant. But unfortunately, the challenge of meeting every day, not wearing a blindfold for a few hours, but waking up knowing in your future, you're going to lose your eyesight and nobody's going to give you a gold watch at the end of the rainbow. So from that perspective, I was driven to be an entrepreneur. It's a very good thing I did. Most of the people that my friends who are journalists and screenplay writers and things up in LA, they tell me of all the people they meet, it's the entrepreneurs with disabilities, so they're the ones that are able to find a modicum of success in life and in our society. So there you go. Good choice. Art for me includes the embrace of culture and the way of people. And I submit to you, we've been led astray by these tools and technologies which have given us the sense of community when there is none. When you're not connected to your neighbors, when you don't know who that person is at the end of the street, when none of us talk to each other, that's not a community, and it's anti-human to live in this way. So the good news is, going forward, our strength will come from pulling together. I don't need to remind you how many people with disabilities, 68 million, 49 million could have voted in one way or the other in this last election. No one took on those issues. No one put those on the front pages of magazines or talked to people about them. None of it. So there you go. don't blame us. But hey, bring us back into the picture, make us a part of your life, stand up for us, for your family, for your neighbors, and we can make this thing really work. I see a better future ahead in our communities, despite the crappy telecom infrastructure. If we get it fixed, that'd be sure great. But from now on, I'm wanting to submit, assistive technology in the form of AI in a community-based infrastructure with spatial computing will give us wonders, miracles, and a whole new relationship with each other and the environment we live in. So sorry for pontificating and giving a speech, but
No worries, Gordon.
it's been a tough week. Can I say that? Oh my goodness.
Hey, Gordon, I
Yeah,
never knew you to have to be opinionated.
No, Gordon, I appreciate it. I think, one of the things that I wrote down while you were talking about it is something that I believe also when it comes down to the use of AI, necessity often drives innovation. We tend to find solutions to problems that we identify and we personally experience. So the hope with AI is that AI provides us that innovative tool that allows us to, as our community members and our community leaders, people inside of our government agencies, that when we look at AI, we should look at it through a scope of what it empowers, not what it takes away. Not that people are losing things or somebody's going to be replaced, but what does it empower? Who does it empower? And why we should be looking to adopt those things. So that's kind of the messaging that Gordon and I went back and forth in discussions earlier this week. And Gordon, I really appreciate getting to know you and talk more about the details of what it provides for us and the hope of accessibility with AI. Whether that's, so when we start saying that these tools that could leverage support for other people are evil or bad or negative or hurtful in some way, it puts another further mark back against people that may be able to leverage it in a way that's new and opportune for them, and not leave it up to somebody else to try and identify that before we start speaking on it. So I guess it's about awareness. Just wanted to share some of the stories of why AI is important to me from a personal perspective as well as a professional perspective. And what I think is leaders in this space, we all sit here to share our knowledge and experience what other people are feeling. So and how it impacts our businesses, how it impacts the people that we serve. So I thank you for the time. I appreciate, Steve, you letting me up here for a few minutes. And if anybody has questions, I'm always happy to have conversations, talk about it, share what I've learned in the past and what I'm doing now, because I just want to say it is a global movement. As Gordon pointed out in some other areas with legislative actions overseas, but from a global adoption of tools in AI, it's a foregone conclusion. This genie is out, and if we think that we're going to avoid it or ignore it, and it's going to go away, it's not. And we're better off for it to adopt it, embrace it, learn from it, incorporate it into our educational opportunities, so that people, when we're worried about people doing wrong things with it, the best thing I've learned is having spent time as a faculty member since 2008 through 2023 with different universities and experiences, is that education is the best opportunity to get people to perform in a way that you hope that and desire they perform. Leaving it without discussion or avoiding it is going to make it worse. And that's how we advocate for one another, like Gordon.
Thanks, PJ. Barney, do you have anything you want to add to the discussion? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
Yeah, you did. You caught me off guard. Certainly, I mean, the stuff that Ash Black is doing with the AI core and sort of looking at the whole cultural aspects of this technology and how we can get it out and how we can get it more exposed is certainly something we're deeply interested in here.
okay. Anybody else want to chime in?
All right now.
I've reached
I
out.
do actually.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Who is that?
Okay, I'm Thor Halverson. I am a friend of Gordon's, and I'm a VR counselor for the deaf, hard of hearing for the state of Arizona. I'm also a geeky nerd. I've been involved with Ubuntu for eons. In fact, I was part of the DC wiki group for Ubuntu back in the early 2000s. I proudly geek out on my old HP Jornada, which I'm using for digital radio work for my ham radio. for sending data packets and things like that. And I've recently got into Meshtastic, which runs on 900 megahertz, which is another option that people utilized in Texas and stuff in North Carolina when they had bad. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Where they use these networks separate from regular Wi-Fi, things like that, to set up a network of communication. It doesn't do pictures or anything like that, but you can send sensor data like weather and stuff like that, but you can also do text messages and things like that for communication. So,
thanks, Thor. Anything else? Or Thor, are you finished? I don't want to cut you off if you're.
No, I was Gordon's been trying to pull me into this meeting for a while, so I'm happy to meet you all. I like the AZ strut. I have shared that with some of my peers in the VR, so we're gonna get the word out.
Cool.
There's one last thing I'd like to share real quick if I could, Steve. I just wanted to share that I was talking with Gordon the other day, and it's becoming. I think there's a growing recognition, and I want to share that because there's a company or there's a film that's out. Film is actually called Unsinkable, and that has Thomas Brody Sangster, John Malkovich, Natalie Emanuel, Brian Cox. I know it's a film that's created by Misha Crosby. The film itself is a World War II based historical document, kind of a documentary based on real events film. And they approached me last year in October with presenting that here in Arizona for the first time. It's one of the first films that's leveraging AI to help to support people with visual impairments or blindness so that they can still experience the film through an audio experience that's actually real time in the theater. No separation of headphones required or anything like that, but it's actually designed so that the audio creates the same impact and develop a similar experience as anyone else. So I think it's great to see that they're looking at the inclusivity use cases for AI in filmmaking. We didn't get it, unfortunately, we weren't able to premiere that. It would have been a remarkable effort, but who knows? Maybe there's another one in the future. Mostly honestly came down to money. It wasn't down to me. They just didn't have the budget to bring it into the state from California, but it was a remarkable opportunity, and I'll continue to pursue those advocations.
But if I might just add one more thing, Steve, it's Gordon here. Yeah, the future is about 10 minutes away, everyone, and I wanted Thor to be a part of this because he lives in very rural part of Arizona, down near Elfrida in southeastern Arizona, where they're pumping out all the water for tomorrow. And his community, everyone who has to go to the hospital or doctors, it's a life flight out of there. And these are people living in RVs on their own little property out there. Some of them are veterans and all. How do you connect those folks? And when our sun gets around to burning the satellites out of the sky, which from astronomers recently discovered is a more regular phenomenon than we might have guessed, we have a time when we have to think of how are we going to stay connected? How are we going to prepare ourselves for the future? As the environment becomes more hostile, good heavens. So I'm saying with the time we have left, with the resources that we have now, it's really time to start thinking about what tomorrow's going to look like for the young people coming up. And we know that 6G is going to bring about a tremendous change that'll require all of our communities to be approving of new antennas and new edge servers and new new AI systems installed in our towns. So why not get ahead of that game? Let's reach for the future and pull it to us. Right now there's two choices. One is the web, which we know is full of bugs and hacks and scams, and it's a difficult thing to maintain and ever more complex with quantum computers able to crack in and read anything. So we're at a place where that's kind of a shaky fabric we're standing on. And then there's the game engines, which are the world that have been entertaining our youth, who are really adept and very practiced and very engaged with that. But those are all sort of custom things that have to build from scratch. And the future lies in between the two of them, where we're able to have basically a better network connecting us together. And the focus of it might want to start with your own community, because that's where all the resources should be. That's where you're doing business, learning, working, exchanging knowledge, helping and healing. That's our future. So I just wanted to share that. Diversity and inclusion are the cutting edge of accessibility, which means everybody, which includes inclusion, doesn't it? Yes, it does. So for me, I can't imagine why anyone would want to saw the limb off on DEIA at a time like this when we're increasingly competing in the world, and our vision of including everyone has crossed the world, and other countries have all got on board, and they've been a lot slicker at it. They spend federal money, like in social money, on investing in this area, unlike us. And so, fortunately, we're still ahead of the game. The Site Tech Global Conference, if you look that up on YouTube, you could watch that. It was 2 days, blind people showcasing the latest in AI and spatial navigation technologies, voice and text and nuance. And so the world ahead is going to be much better for all of us, better form, fit, and function for our humanity. And it comes from people pushing the envelope, looking at it, at the next page. And please do that as we go forward. Thank you for giving me this time.
Good. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, PJ. It's always great to see you guys. Appreciate it. I think it just reminds us that as we move ahead with digital inclusion, or whatever we're going to have to call it in the future here, but that we really have to pay attention to the needs of the disabled.
I think accessibility covers it. Accessibility covers it. You don't have to tell anybody it's inclusive,
Yeah. Good. Thanks for reminding us about that, Gordon. Accessibility is the issue.
Yep.
Anybody else have any announcements or anything? Judy, thanks again. If you're still there, thanks for joining us this morning. Anybody else have anything else that they want to share this morning? If not, I'm going
Hey,
to.
it's
I'm sorry. Go
Teresa
ahead,
from.
Judy.
Hey, I just want to say thank you so much for the presenters. This is really inspirational, and yeah, there's a lot of attacks going on. Hang in there. You guys are doing such great work, and it was so great to present some of the good news, because it's it's a little chaotic. Things will iron out. We just need to stay focused on what we need to do. So thanks so much for everybody.
Great. Thank you, Judy. Appreciate it. Anybody else have anything else? I'm going to stop the recording now. And as we always do, if you want to hang around and